My mom didn't talk to me for 3 days. The only thing she told me was, it's very risky, I will die. Google Map does not tell you about the safety aspect, about the terrain, about whether you will find water. There's this faith in humanity that I had. I'm like, I'm going to get contacts. I'm going to start getting connected to people. And that's how it's going.
To tackle the issue of mental health, everyone has their own solutions. But I guess for today, Ronit Ranjan has taken matters into his own hands. I'm your host Mithil, and you are listening to the Curiously Candid Show. Ronit's dreams to join the army never became a reality after he suffered from a back injury that never goes away, even to this day. But despite the pain, he's now walking across India from Kanyakumari, which happens to be the southernmost point of the country, to Leh, which is over 4,000 kilometers away, high up in the Himalayas, to talk about mental health as a trauma survivor himself. So what does he want, you may ask? He started a petition to include mental health as a non-graded course in the school curriculum across India. Currently midway through his journey full of blisters, Ronit shares his story of personal growth, including how his perspectives about mental health have changed. And I promise, after listening to them, yours will too. Thank you, Ronit, for joining me today, and welcome to the show. So how long has it been since you started walking?
It's going to be a little over 2 months now. I started walking on 16th of November.
And when do you expect that you'll be able to complete this walk?
I'm expecting to hit Delhi by mid of March. And then from there, as long as it takes to get through all the ministries, and then after that, another month. So somewhere between mid-May is where I'm expecting to finish the entire walk.
I see. So you are planning to go all the way up till the northest point, is it?
Yeah.
Because this is a very long commitment.
Yeah.
It's something which like it detaches you completely from your main life. So why did you come to this point that you had to take this initiative? Why? What's your motivation behind it?
There is a personal reason to it. And I mean, I have had my journey of mental health issues and the entire journey of coming out of it, and then advocating it. My dream was to get in the army, and after 12th, I entered the National Defense Academy in 2015, and everything was going well because that was the dream of my life, and I was, I had worked very hard to get there. But then that's not how life has its way of going about things. And in 2007, I suffered from a severe back injury, and I was declared medically unfit to continue in the army. I spent 50 days in the hospital, only to realize that it's a permanent injury and nothing could be done about it, and that my entire blueprint had gone down the drain. That was the phase when I contemplated committing suicide as well. After I came back home, I went through mental health issues. The first 8 days, I didn't speak to anyone. Initially, I didn't know that something was going to happen. I was just in grief, and I stopped talking, and I stopped laughing, and I stopped eating. Got to know that I was going through depression and PTSD because of the injury. And initially, I thought I was the only one, going through this. But then, after a couple of months, when I was in a position to talk again, to be more sensitized towards things like mental health and depression and suicide and all of that, I realized that I was not the only one going through it. Every person is going through their mental health journey. Every person is fighting their battles, and for every person they've been hit, or they will be hit eventually in their life. And that's when I realized that it's a field which is so untouched in terms of the ground level reality. I'm sure there are a lot of conversations out there happening on social media or the internet about mental health and its importance, but on the ground level, there's nothing. And for the past 2-3 years, I have been advocating about the importance of mental health and how important it is to just reach out for help, to talk about your emotions, to just open up. And while I was advocating mental health, I realized that in such a big country like India, you cannot talk about things and see the change. You have to bring a ground level policy change if you actually want to see a change.
And what policy change do you want the government to implement?
before NEP 2020, we never mentioned mental health in the education policy. And for the first time, they have mentioned mental health, which is commendable by the government, but it's very incomplete. So that's wherein I started the petition, asking them to incorporate a mandatory curriculum. Like it's time that mental health is treated as something exclusive in the schools, something that needs a separate space, to be spoken of. And that's where the idea for petition came in. We started getting signatures online, and I was talking about it. But then again, the same problem was there that more than half of India's population does not have an internet connection. So how do they sign the petition, which is online? The answer was that I just go tell them. So that's when I decided to walk the entire country, and I've been walking for the past 2 months, more than 2 months.
I'm just wondering, how has COVID played a factor in this journey? Because people are wearing masks. Because the timing to me for this, it
Yeah.
seems a bit odd in terms of, let's say, when a pandemic is going on,
Mhm.
it's in full rage mode in India, especially.
Of course, I knew it was dangerous for other people and for myself as well, because I'm the one who's going around places. But the thing is, I had been waiting for the intensity to come down, but COVID was not going anywhere. There was no signs of a vaccine or something like that, and the cases were only going up, and I just could not do anything about it. Um, and I knew for a fact that initially when I start that how do I put it? Let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, that I'll be only be able to hit like 6 or 7, which was the case. I wasn't able to visit all the offices, all the schools and colleges, right? Because most of them were shut down.
Yeah, but why now? Like, why not a year later when COVID would have been probably gone? Why now?
I had to make a call in the sense that next year, 2021, the new curriculum framework is going to be out. And once it gets implemented, like it's literally there in the document that it's going to change after next 15 to 20 years. So if you do not put the right thing right now, you're sorted for 15 to 20 years, which is why timing becomes very important. Another thing was COVID has taken a hit on mental health of everyone. This is the time wherein people have been little sensitized towards the importance of mental health. So had I waited for next year, right? By next year, let's say the world comes back to normal, right? We come back to normal to ignoring mental health, because that's how we are.
How did you manage to get your family on board this idea with you?
I told my parents 1 month before I decided to leave. In the sense, like
What was their reaction?
my mom didn't talk to me for 3 days. The only thing she told me was, "Don't do this. It's very risky. I will die," is what she's told me for 3 days. My dad and my sister also took a week to get on board. So after my dad and sister were on board, then we started, talking. After a week, we started asking, requesting our mom to write down all the things she's afraid of. So she made a huge list, and one by one, we had to answer all of her questions. And then eventually, she started talking, and took a month to just get her on board.
And now that she's on board, how is like she's still able to face a society? Because assume that there must be the backlash from the society, from the relatives that you have in your family.
On one side of the coin, people really appreciate and respect what I'm doing. They say good things about my parents for to be brave enough for me doing this. On the other side of the coin, there are people who call me crazy, who call my parents crazy for letting them do it. And then it sometimes does affect us.
Crazy as in what sense?
Crazy in terms of the basic narrative, how like I was taught, or how we've all been taught, is that you finish your school and then you graduate and then you get a job and eventually you marry and get settled. And at my age, at 23, you'll find all these relatives and all these the neighbors and all, who keep rooting, okay, oh, okay, he can do this, he can do that. Right now, it's 23. It's the age of building his life. Why is he left everything and he's walking
And
on the
soon a
road and all
marriage
of
also.
Yeah, exactly. So all of that happens. So we just have a thick skin for it now. The one thing I have learned, in the past 23 years of my existence, is that if you want to do something good, you need to have a thick skin, because there will be people throwing shit at you, and you totally have to, I mean, ignore that.
Let's talk more about the actual walk and the logistics of it. How do you plan your route? Do you just use Google Maps?
Yeah, so I'm only walking on the national highway because I'm walking alone. See, anything could happen. So if something happens, at least it'll be visible. Like because there's always some vehicle going past like every 5 minutes, so visibility increases. So that's the safety purpose. Second is it's less. Most of the routes are straight because it's a national highway, so less chances of me getting lost here and there. Rest is Google Map. Google Maps say I decide where I'm gonna halt for the next day, which place will be the next stop for the next day. That's how it's going.
So, how long do you walk for in one stretch?
So one day stretch, the average has been 40 to 50, and it varies. It sometimes it's 35 as well. Those are the shorter routes, 30 35. Some days it's 65 to 70 as well. It totally depends in which is the next populated area, because these long stretches, the forest stretches are the long stretches because you don't find anything in the middle. So those you have to finish it. And when you are nearing a city, then every 30 to 40 you get something.
So, yeah, so every 30 to 40 kilometers you usually do. And how long of like, let's say, how many days before you?
I I'm on road by 4:30 in the morning, and I finish my walk at 1:30, 2:30, sometimes 3:30, sometimes 12:30 as well, depending on that day's target.
So, but then where do you sleep? Because uh, you crash in a proper place, let's say after a couple of days, right? Because it takes you time to, you're on the highway and highways are long. And so,
Yeah,
how do you
yeah.
manage your sleep? Do you carry a sleeping bag?
No, I don't. So see, that's the thing. No, when I'm walking, so every day, so I walk like I have to reach a place, reach my destination, and I crash there for the night. So it's just for the night. I sleep there, and then next morning at 4:30, I start walking again. I do it again and again, and after 7 10 days, when I reach a big city, that's when I take a halt. That's when I take 2 3 days off, and I sleep a lot. I take care of my blisters. I take care of my body. I hydrate. I meet people. I need to take care of my mental health as well. I chill. That's where in the big cities I meet big people. I get more contacts. We do some events there, get the ball rolling, get some more momentum, then use that momentum further to further the movement.
But every time, like every day, every night, do you find a place to stay in successfully?
In most of cases, right now I am right. Initially, it was difficult. So initially, when I was walking, people did not believe I was doing this. So I was not getting contacts.
And what did you do about the situation?
I'm like, okay, I mean, social media, I don't think social media is going to work. But then there's this faith in humanity that I had. I'm like, I'm going to get contacts. I'm going to start getting connected to people. And that's how it's going. It's not been a smooth journey at all. There have been a lot of hiccups in the middle. But, right people at the right time have showed up and have kind of helped me in figuring out the way, be it the route, staying, eating, getting contacts, helping me meet people, and all of that. Yesterday, I put a story, I put a post of the route, the Madhya Pradesh route, and a couple of people DM that they were this in this area. So I got a contact for tomorrow's place. So social media has been helping me as well, and now it's getting a little easier to find places because now I have like a lot of newspaper articles with me, right? So I just Google and show, and then the moment they see that this guy, oh, he's on the paper, then they're very friendly. Like I remember in the Andhra Pradesh route. No, Andhra Pradesh route. No, in the Maharashtra route. I've also stayed in a police station recently only. All I said was, I'm like, I need a place to crash. And they have so much ample of space. So they just let me stay.
So they
So,
just offer you a cup of tea and then just be like, be a guest.
yeah, TNR. So here's the thing. After they ask, obviously they ask me, where are you, who are you, and where are you coming from, and then I tell them that this is happening. Then people are usually very welcoming. They'll offer me tea. Some of them also offer me like food and all of that.
What's been the biggest challenge for you?
Here's the thing. Google Map only tells you the route. Google Map does not tell you about the safety aspect, about the terrain, about whether you will find water or whether you will encounter wild animals and all of that. It's the localites who tell you that it's not safe. So that's there. Animal encounters have been scary. I was told this Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra route, there was some tiger sighting, and I was shit scared. So that also has been there. So psychologically, also it takes a hit. But I say particular moments as such, moments have been, when I couldn't get a place to crash, wherein I ate something and my I got food poisoning in the way as well, because I couldn't adjust the food, or I wouldn't get water, or my blisters are bleeding, or my back is aching. Those are moments which get difficult.
Has there been like points where you just felt like that, you know what, I'm just done with this, and with all the issues that I'm facing, with all these difficulties that I'm facing, you know what, I think I've
Yeah.
done some work, so I think let's just quit it now and just go back home?
Yeah, there have been times when, I'm like, what am I doing? Will it work, or like, what have I taken up? Should I have done more preparation? Should I have waited, or should I have done it before, and all of that? What's the point? Sometimes I'm like, what's the point of me doing it? I could be, in my room, I could be working and all of that.
I think then the same should be applicable to your parents as well, because I mean they must have their own doubts all the time. I'm sure your mom also has those doubts that, why did I
Yeah.
send my son to do this? Why did I allow him to do this?
So here's the funny thing about life is that sometimes you don't get all the answers. Sometimes, as much as you want to, like, you want things to be in a certain way, and it's not going to happen, and you try to make sense of everything, but sometimes you just can't make sense. Sometimes you have to just respect what's happening. So I think both my parents and even I, sometimes we just respect whatever's going on. And I think that way it does help out in a couple of ways where, things are not going the way we want, and, it gets a little difficult, and we just okay, this too shall pass. We just respect that
And
time.
so haven't your like parents felt that, like maybe they can just like, catch a train or catch a plane and then, see you somewhere in the middle?
I mean, there was a plan once, but then that kind of didn't work out. But I am planning to visit my parents soon. So I am planning to. So I have to reach. This is where I tell that I have to reach Jaipur before 24th. 26th of February is my parents' 25th year anniversary, marriage anniversary, and it's just that, like, I have to go visit them. So my mom keeps telling me that, like, I'm like, my mom, what do you want, and this and that. I'm like, my biggest gift will be you coming down. So what I have planned to do is, when I reach Jaipur, I take a flight, go home, stay with my parents for their they're hosting a party, they're calling their close ones and all. Be there, come back, and then keep walking. So it's gonna be like a 2-day trip. I'm gonna go and so yes, that is the plan. It's gonna be like a moral booster for me as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. Like, I'm literally counting days. If I could, I would just show you that. I have this chart. So in the army, we used to calculate every day. We used to cross every day. It was called DLTGH, days left to go home. So I'm literally counting my DLTGS as well.
So let's go back to your walk for one sec. When you go to a city, what is it that you exactly do? What's your schedule going to look like? How detailed do you plan everything?
Right now, when I reach a city, like when I'm when I'm entering through the national highway, like the city, it's visible from the far, right? And I'm like, oh damn, it's coming, and like it just increases my pace. When I reach there, the first day, I just sleep and eat. I hog like a pig. I meet people there. So when I reach the cities, I have two agendas. First is to meet people, get media involved, get talk to different people, get some more contacts and all of that. Just again increase the momentum. Second is to meet with people, to chill for a bit, to make some friends, to just I don't know, take care of your physical and mental health as well. Just roam around the city for a bit, just take a pause.
And when do you go and meet the department officials? When do you do that stuff? When do you go and meet, like, let's say, the district councils, the district magistrates?
In the daytime. So let's say when I reach Nagpur. So before I was reaching Nagpur through social media, there was this mental health organization near mine, and we collaborated. We decided to collaborate when I come down there. So they kind of helped me figure out. So we did a program on 24th. We did an event on. We got hold of a couple of people who were bullied in their school times, and we organized like open space, and 50, 60 people signed up, and we spoke about it and put it in the front, put it in press as well. That happened. Then I met the collector. Nitin Gadkari happened. Nitin Gadkari though just happened because like I was pushing a lot of people and they got some contacts and all of that. So this is how we do it. So I reach there. So like, okay, his dad knows this guy who might be able to connect with this guy and this guy, this guy, this guy. As simple as I got connected with one guy. So the family who hosted me in Nagpur, two families hosted. So I thought, yeah, I should give them like a farewell gift. And I went to this place called Clay Clan. It was a random place. I just found it on Google, and I went, and I have this habit of striking conversations. So I struck a conversation with the owner, and turns out that he was somehow related to the Chief Justice of India, and he said that you should totally meet him. He's from Nagpur, but that time he was not there. But then he told me that he's part of this All India Journal or All India Reporter. There's this organization who print journals for the law of fraternity. And he said that if you have an article and if it has a lot of substance, you pass it to me. We're going to run through the editorial team. And maybe if it reaches out, if it gets the attention of the CJI or even any high court for that matter, right?
So what you do essentially is that you just go to places and then you just talk to as many people as you can, because somebody's going to know somebody, and then that person is probably going to introduce you to somebody else, and that's how you're going to reach higher up.
Yeah.
And how has the reaction of these officials been? Are they very keen on this idea? What did they do about it? Or just like they shrug it off?
See, they're very welcoming, yes. No, they're very welcoming. So it depends on who is it. So these collectors and all, they're very welcoming to the idea. People in the schools, organizations, collectors and all, they're very welcoming to the idea. And then they take it seriously. So like right now, I have to follow up to a couple of collectors who are doing amazing work in the education field. This one person, Praveen Rao in Hyderabad, he's changed the game of like education of the the underprivileged kids. He's taking care of 80,000 kids just under his belt. And these people are from the underprivileged background. And then he's told me that to send the curriculum across, and he's going to run like a pilot project in his institution as well. So some people have been very welcome. It's just that as I'm walking, I've come to realize that there are a lot of things. Like India has so many problems. So like most of them are caught up in other problems. It's not that they don't care. It's just that they don't have the physical capacity after one point to entertain other things. Which is understandable. When I initially started walking, I kind of had the assumption that people don't care about mental health. What I have realized till now, till like my 2,000 kilometers of walking, is that people mostly care. It's just that they don't have the agency or the capacity to do something about it. So after one point, they just stop thinking about it and they just leave.
So what you're saying is essentially that these people, these officials, they do care about mental health and they do recognize it, but at the same time, the problem is that it's too big of a challenge for them to solve. So they're just like
not too big of a challenge, but it's something. So they have to go out of their way to do something about it. Because the society doesn't recognize mental health as something that important. It needs to be in a separate conversation. So again, let's say out of the 10 officials, these are the officials I'm talking about, officials I meet. Again, it's a 50-50. 5 of them ask me, so what can be done? How can we help? Right? And the other 5 are like, okay, all the best, take care. That's it.
And so what do you answer to them when they ask you, like, how can they help?
Nothing.
What do you ask from them?
Yeah, I mean, the rest 5 were like, wishing you all the best. And then I tell them, this is what you can do. And then this is legit how they talk. They're like, it's a very good cause. You have my full support. We can get a picture together. That's their way of saying you can just bug off from here. Like I'm too busy for this.
But then the people who offer your help, right? What do you ask from them?
So depends on their position. So for example, Gadkari, right? He is the Minister of Transport. He would not know anything about education and all of that, right? But he is a cabinet minister.
So you asked him if he could connect you to the Minister of Education, Mr. Ramesh Pokhriyal.
So what I've asked Gadkari sir is like, please get me in your letterhead a letter of appreciation, anything, acknowledgement, and ask Ramesh Pokhriyal to just sit down and talk to me for a while, like have a detailed conversation about this entire campaign. This is what I've asked. So I'm following up. Let's see if I get it or not. And let's say it's a collector. So with collectors, you get more of people in the education department, people who can help you out with the curriculum, or there's some initiative going on. You can have like a nice, rich conversation with them. The ideas as to how can it be taken forward, what are the problems in bureaucracy, and how you can get through the bureaucracy and all of that. With schools organization, it's mostly just get the petition signatures, and connect me with more schools and more organization to get the signatures, and that's how it goes.
So essentially, it's just going on to these offices and then just getting contacts higher up and higher up, so that by the time that you reach Delhi, that you already know that when you're reaching Delhi, that okay, I have to meet this minister, I have to meet this minister.
all the people who can change the game are there in Delhi, right? So I need to build a base so that they take me seriously. So just to make them believe that I'm not just another guy, talking all fancy and be like I'm here, like I'm legit gonna, like, it's to also prove and have like a back, like this entire setup. See, this is how it's going, right? You want to know about me, you just Google and you see the entire journey. That's what's going on.
So, as much as coincidental a lot of things have been, your planning has helped you a lot. And given the wave that you're riding, I expect you'll be making a big splash in New Delhi. So, how many signatures have you gotten so far in a petition?
Total, including offline and online, we're at 45,000 signatures.
Oh, that's a lot.
Compared to the, yeah, it's still a long way to go. Like the kind of response that I was expecting, like the response has been better. I was expecting that out of the 10 people, only 4 or 5 will be open to the idea of mental health, but 6 or 7 are. So that way, it's like this little discovery come surprise which I have, and I'm glad that it happened.
And so, how have your views, over the time, like over the entire work before you were going into this? We talked about the expectations, but how have your personal views towards mental health changed over these few months?
So when you say mental health, for me, it was this elite, not elite version, but this narrative that was out on social media. Well, like some of it, the lingo was different, and how do I put? What's the word? Yeah, elite is the word, I think, because let's say in a place like Bangalore or social media, right? I mean, we always have solutions at the tip of our tongue. Any problem, we have a solution for that. And we thought that, oh, why are people not implementing it? It's just that you have to take a lot of harsh realities of life into picture when you were a middle class or a lower class family trying to sustain yourself in India. And it's not that they don't care about mental health; it's just that their understanding is different. Let's say you speak to a couple of people, for them things like roots become very important. Family, culture, being comfortable with your own skin, all of that becomes important, which is kind of what mental health also talks about, which is body positivity, self-care, expressing your emotions and all of that. This is what mental health also talks about. It's just that the way we talk about it is different. The packaging is different on social media, right? And I've realized that there's so much of overlapping. What I've come to terms is that when I was there and kind of blaming my older generation for not taking care and all of that, what I've come to terms is that it was not fair, and it was not fair on my behalf to blame them so much. They never had it as well. It's not that they deliberately did this. I have become more empathetic towards my parents' generation and my grandparents' generation. It's not that they don't care.
I think after you finish your work, probably this is the most you will ever learn in your life.
Yes, at least till now, I'm already getting a lot. It will change a lot of things for me, about me, maybe. I was talking about my tattoo yesterday. So yesterday was a very emotional day for me. So yesterday, 28th January, marked like 4 years to the injury that ended my career. So it was a very emotional day for me, and I made a video because apart from a lot of feelings that I was feeling, I felt grateful for a couple of things, and I just wanted to put it out. And I was talking about this tattoo so I have an unfinished tattoo, and I was planning to not finish it, but then give another stage to it after the walk is done.
Once you reach Delhi, I think there are so many things that are going to happen, which I cannot anticipate right now. Neither can you. And I think that is in some ways also the beauty of life, I guess.
There's this song, okay, that I keep on loop now. This is something that when I get low or when I'm like doubting myself or like whatever's going on, I play that song. It's by Welshie Arms. It's called Legendary. So it has a line. It says that what I'm doing isn't just scary. It's about to be legendary. So I keep telling myself, Avi, when I'm going to hit Delhi, something will happen. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know something will happen. So let's just see what's going to happen. And I think whatever will happen, I'm also preparing myself. The walk is preparing me to kind of anticipate and respond to whatever happens. So let's see.
You have been listening to The Curiously Candid Show. I'm your host Mithil, and thank you so much for tuning in today. Follow us on Instagram at The Curiously Candid Show, Twitter at Curiously Candid, and YouTube where we post clips, behind the scenes, and more. Make sure you subscribe to us on whichever platforms you get your podcast from, and stay tuned for the next one.